The observation gallery of Station Kronos 9 hummed with the quiet efficiency of advanced technology monitoring the impossible. Chief Evaluator Vex of the Quiloran Dominion stood before a wall of displays, his compound eyes processing 16 data streams simultaneously, while his secondary arms made rapid notations on a holographic interface. Below, in the hermetically sealed assessment chamber, a human female sat waiting. "This cannot be correct," Vex muttered, his mandibles clicking in agitation. His carapace, normally a calm azure, had shifted to troubled umber. Run the calibration sequence again. His assistant, a young Quiloran named Vess, manipulated her controls with practiced precision. Third calibration complete. Chief Evaluator. All systems functioning within normal parameters. The error persists. Error. Vex repeated the word as though it tasted bitter. In 40 cycles of conducting military assessments for the Galactic Defense Coalition, he had never encountered a genuine system-wide error. Equipment malfunctioned. Software glitched. But the entire assessment framework reporting impossible data? That suggested something far more troubling than technical failure. The human Sarah Chen, according to her file, sat in the waiting chamber with admirable patience. She was unremarkable by human standards. Average height, lean build, dark hair pulled back in a functional style. Her preliminary physical examination had flagged nothing unusual. Standard human physiology, typical cardiovascular efficiency, expected muscular development for someone who exercised regularly, but wasn't a professional athlete. Yet her baseline stress response tests had caused the assessment AI to halt the entire evaluation protocol and flag her results as biologically implausible. Explain the discrepancy again, Vex commanded. Though he had already reviewed the data 17 times, Vex pulled up a comparison chart. The human completed the preliminary environmental tolerance scan. Standard procedure: we expose candidates to mild temperature variations, pressure changes, and atmospheric composition shifts to establish their comfort range and stress thresholds. Yes, continue. The human's physiological stress markers never activated. Heart rate remained steady. Cortisol levels unchanged. Respiratory pattern consistent throughout. The AI interpreted this as sensor failure because, according to our database, humans should show measurable stress responses at the temperatures and pressures we employed. Vex studied Sarah through the observation glass. She had pulled out a small device, a human tablet, and appeared to be reading something, occasionally smiling at whatever content she consumed. What were the actual environmental parameters? We reached 47 degrees Celsius in the heat phase, and negative 23 Celsius in the cold phase. Pressure variations ranged from 0.7 to 1 point for standard atmospheres, and the human showed no discomfort. At the 40-degree mark, she removed her outer jacket. At negative 20, she commented that it was a bit nippy and asked if we had any hot tea available. Those were her only observable responses. Vex's carapace flushed deeper amber. The Quilorans themselves, evolved on a thermally stable world, found such temperature ranges profoundly uncomfortable. Most species did. The assessment protocol was designed to identify each species' baseline tolerance. Before proceeding to more intensive evaluations, Perhaps our human database is outdated. Vess suggested carefully. The database is updated annually using data provided by Earth's own medical institutions. Vex replied, humans have been members of the coalition for 32 cycles. We have extensive documentation of their capabilities. Then perhaps this individual is exceptional. An outlier? Vex considered this. Every species had individuals who exceeded their norm. Champions, athletes, genetic anomalies. But outliers showed stress, they simply withstood it better. Sarah Chen had shown no stress at all, as though the environmental changes simply hadn't registered as threats. Bring up her preliminary interview, Vex ordered. The recording played on a secondary screen. Sarah sat across from an intake officer, answering standard questions with friendly openness. Any military experience? The officer asked. Nothing formal. I did outdoor education work for a few years. Rock climbing instructor, wilderness survival courses, that kind of thing. Previous injuries or medical conditions we should be aware of. Nothing serious. Broke my ankle on a climbing accident when I was 19. Hypothermia once during a winter camping trip that went longer than planned. Usual outdoor recreation stuff. Any psychological concerns? Anxiety, claustrophobia, panic disorders? Sarah had laughed. I'm pretty even-keeled. My friends joke that I'm too calm. It takes a lot to rattle me. Vex paused the recording. Outdoor recreation stuff, he repeated slowly. She describes hypothermia as usual. Humans do engage in recreational activities that other species would consider survival scenarios. Vess offered. Their tourism industry includes something called extreme sports. I am aware. Vex had reviewed human culture extensively. They willingly threw themselves from aircraft with fabric parachutes. They climbed vertical rock faces for entertainment. They ran marathons in desert heat for no practical purpose whatsoever. At the time, he had assumed these were fringe activities performed by the hardiest members of their species. Now, looking at Sarah Chen, self-described as unremarkable, he wondered if the Quiloran Dominion had fundamentally misunderstood what recreational meant to humans. Proceed with the standard assessment battery. Vex decided, I want full biometric monitoring. If this human is truly exceptional, we will identify her limits. If our database is flawed, we will discover that as well. Vess activated the communication system. Candidate Chen, thank you for your patience. We are ready to proceed with phase 2 evaluations. Sarah looked up from her tablet, smiled, and gave a cheerful thumbs-up gesture. Great. I was getting a bit antsy just sitting here. Phase 2 consisted of graduated physical stress tests. Candidates performed increasingly difficult exercises, while the system monitored their physiological responses, looking for the point where performance degraded or stress markers indicated approaching limits. Sarah entered the exercise chamber and listened attentively to the AI's instructions. You will complete a series of physical tasks, the smooth synthetic voice explained. Continue each task until you feel you cannot safely proceed further. There is no penalty for stopping. This assessment measures your baseline capabilities, not your maximum endurance. Understood. Sarah confirmed. The first task was simple. Maintain a plank position. Most species could hold the position for 20 to 40 seconds before muscle fatigue forced them to stop. The assessment AI would measure time, muscle tremor, respiratory stress, and recovery time. Sarah dropped into position with practiced ease. Her form was excellent, back straight, core engaged, breathing controlled. 30 seconds passed. 40, 60. Muscle fatigue should be evident by now. Vess commented, studying the biometric READOUTS. 120 seconds. Sarah's breathing remained steady. Her form hadn't wavered. This is within documented human capability, Vex noted. Human special forces can hold plank positions for extended periods. 300 seconds. 5 minutes. Sarah showed no trembling, no degradation in form. Her heart rate had barely elevated. Is she actually trying? Vess wondered aloud. At 8 minutes, Sarah spoke. Quick question, is there a time limit on this? Because I can hold this for quite a while. But I don't want to just stay here all day if you've got other tests planned. Vex's primary arms froze over his console. She is asking if we want her to stop because she is bored. Candidate Chen, the AI responded. You may cease the exercise whenever you feel appropriate. Oh, okay. I mean, I'm feeling fine. But if we're on a schedule, Sarah held the position for another minute, then smoothly rose to her feet. Should I have pushed harder? I wasn't sure what you were looking for. The monitoring team sat in stunned silence. Next task, Vex said quietly. The assessment proceeded. Weighted carries, suspended hangs, cardiovascular stress tests, grip strength measurements. With each task, the same pattern emerged. Sarah performed well, but never showed the physiological stress responses that should have accompanied her performance. Level. She completed a 30-minute high-intensity running protocol with barely elevated respiration. She carried 70% of her body weight up an inclined surface, while maintaining a conversation with the AI about Earth's weather patterns. She is not even trying, Vess said, her tone somewhere between awe and frustration. No, Vex corrected. She is trying to perform adequately. She's attempting to meet what she believes are minimum standards. His carapace had shifted to deep purple, the Quiloran color of profound confusion. Access the complete human database. I want every study, every military report, every medical assessment conducted on humans in the last 32 cycles. While Vess compiled the data, Vex watched Sarah complete a wall-climbing exercise designed to test problem-solving under physical stress. She ascended the dynamic surface with fluid efficiency, adapting to each new configuration the AI generated. Her heart rate suggested she was taking a pleasant stroll. Chief Evaluator, Vess said after several minutes, I have found something concerning. Show me. Vess displayed a meta-analysis of human assessment data. All of our baseline information on human capabilities comes from studies conducted on Earth, medical research, military recruitment data, athletic performance records. Yes, standard procedure for all species. But humans self-report their stress levels, pain tolerance, and comfort ranges. The assessment protocols rely heavily on subjective feedback, asking humans to rate their discomfort on numerical scales or indicate when they feel they are approaching their limits. Vex felt, understanding dawn with uncomfortable clarity. and humans are culturally conditioned to understate difficulty. The database is filled with notations like moderate discomfort, manageable pain, slightly challenging. But when we cross-reference with objective biometric data from those same studies, Vess highlighted several passages. The objective measurements suggest the humans were experiencing significant physiological stress that they subjectively rated as minor or moderate. They told us they were fine when they were not fine, and we believed them. Worse, Chief Evaluator, I believe humans genuinely think they are fine. Their cultural framework for assessing difficulty is so skewed toward understatement that they have no accurate sense of where they fall on an objective galactic scale. Vex turned back to the observation window. Sarah had completed the climbing exercise and was now stretching casually, rotating her shoulders and bending to touch her toes. With the ease of someone finishing a warm-up rather than a test designed to exhaust most carbon-based life forms, we have been training alongside humans for 3 decades, Vex said slowly. We have fought beside them in border conflicts. We have placed them in standard units with standard expectations. Yes, Chief Evaluator, and the entire time they have been operating at what they consider minimal effort, believing they are meeting basic standards. It appears so. By the ancestral shells. Vex's mandibles clicked rapidly, a Quiloran expression of extreme agitation. What happens when we ask them to actually try? Vex had no answer. Vex made a decision that he would later realize changed the trajectory of human galactic relations forever. Activate Protocol Apex 7. Every Quiloran in the observation gallery turned to stare at him. Vess's carapace flashed bright red alarm and disbelief. Chief Evaluator, Protocol Apex 7 is designed for synthetic life forms and crystalline species. No organic life form has ever attempted it. The standing recommendation is, I am aware of the recommendations. I wrote most of them. Vex's voice carried absolute authority. We need to know the truth. We need to see what happens when a human faces genuinely impossible challenges, not exercises calibrated to what we believe are their limits. She could be seriously injured. Then we will stop the protocol. But I suspect, Vex paused, watching Sarah Chen drink water and check her tablet as though she had just completed a casual workout rather than a battery of tests that would have hospitalized most species. I suspect we are going to discover that we have been catastrophically wrong about humanity. And we need to know exactly how wrong before we make strategic decisions based on flawed data. He activated the communication system. Candidate Chen, you have performed admirably. We have one final assessment protocol, our most comprehensive evaluation. It is voluntary and considered extremely challenging. Are you willing to proceed? Sarah's face brightened. Oh, absolutely. To be honest, I was worried these were too easy. I thought maybe I was doing something wrong. A real challenge would be great. Vex closed his eyes, all 16 of them. Prepare Protocol Apex 7. Full medical team on standby. And someone send a message to the Coalition Command. Tell them we need to convene an emergency session on human capability classification. What should the message say specifically? Vess asked. Vex looked at Sarah Chen, who was now doing casual jumping jacks while waiting for the next test, and chose his words carefully. Tell them everything we thought we knew about humans was wrong, and we are about to prove it. Dr. Zilf arrived in the observation gallery within minutes, her crystalline body refracting the harsh station lights into fractured rainbows across the walls. As the Coalition's senior xenophysiologist, her expertise in cross-species medicine was unmatched. Her presence at the assessment center meant Vex's message had caused exactly the level of alarm he had intended. "You cannot be serious," Zilf said without preamble, her voice resonating with harmonic overtones. "Protocol Apex 7 will kill her." "The protocol has never killed anyone," Vex replied calmly, "because no one organic has ever attempted it." Zilf's crystalline structure flashed red. "Vex, I have reviewed the preliminary data you sent. Yes, this human is performing beyond expected parameters. But that does not mean she can withstand forces designed to stress-test military combat drones. Look at her biometrics." Vex gestured to the displays. "She has completed our entire standard assessment battery. Her stress markers never exceeded 15% of what we would expect. Her recovery time between exercises was faster than her baseline resting state. She is not experiencing this as stressful. Lack of stress response does not equal invulnerability. No, but it suggests our understanding of human physiology is fundamentally flawed." Vex turned to face Zilf directly. "How many humans serve in the Coalition Defense Forces?" "Approximately 47,000 across all branches." "And how are they classified for duty assignments?" Zilf's colors shifted a crystalline shrug. "Category 5. Moderate physical capability, standard psychological resilience. Suitable for general service roles. With environmental considerations for their limited temperature tolerance and fragile skin." "Fragile?" Vex repeated. "We have been treating them as fragile. They are fragile. Humans lack protective carapaces, scales, or crystalline structures. Their skin punctures easily. They lack redundant organs. By any objective measure, objective based on what data?" Vex interrupted. "Data that humans themselves provided, using their own cultural framework for what constitutes difficulty or pain." "Dr. Zilf, what if humans genuinely do not know how exceptional they are?" "That is absurd, is it? Humans have no regular contact with other species in their evolutionary history. They developed in isolation on a single planet with no comparison point. When we asked them to rate their pain tolerance, they compared themselves only to other humans. When we asked about their environmental limits, they reported what felt uncomfortable to them personally, not what was actually dangerous." Zilf's crystalline form ceased its agitated flickering. She was silent for a long moment. "You are suggesting that human self-assessment is calibrated to human norms, which may be completely disconnected from galactic norms." "I am suggesting that when a human says something is moderately difficult, they mean it is moderately difficult compared to other humans they know, not compared to Quilorans or Xinthians or any other species. They have no framework for that comparison. This is still an enormous logical leap to justify an extremely dangerous test. Then, let me show you something else." Vex pulled up a file he had spent the last hour compiling. "Human entertainment media, their fiction. I fail to see the relevance. Humans tell stories about themselves. And in these stories, do you know what they consider heroic? what they portray as exceptional human achievement. Vex played several clips. Humans climbing mountains without equipment. Humans running impossible distances. Humans surviving in extreme environments. Humans enduring injuries that would kill most species and continuing to function. These are fictional exaggerations. Zilf protested, some are, but many are based on actual documented human achievements. And here is what I find most interesting: humans watch these stories and think that could be me with enough training. They see extreme capability as achievable, not superhuman. Their baseline assumption is that humans can do incredible things if they simply try hard enough. Or they have unrealistic self-perception, perhaps. But what if their self-perception is accurate and our assessment of them is not? Vex gestured to Sarah, visible through the observation glass, stretching and looking eager. She volunteered for this assessment. She wants to serve in the defense forces, and she has no idea that she has already performed feats that would make her legendary among most other species. To her, she just passed a basic fitness test. Zilf approached the observation window, studying Sarah with new perspective. If you are correct, if humans are vastly more capable than we believed, what are the implications? That is what terrifies me, Vex admitted. We have 47,000 humans in our military, all assigned to roles we considered appropriate for Category 5 species. We have been giving them what we thought were challenging assignments calibrated to their limitations. What if those assignments were insultingly easy? What if they have been holding back for 3 decades because they thought that was expected, matching the pace of their non-human colleagues? Then we have been wasting their potential, or protecting ourselves from it. Vex's carapace shifted to dark blue, the color of deep concern. Dr. Zilf, humans are kind. Overwhelmingly, genuinely kind. Every assessment of their psychological profile confirms it. They form bonds across species lines more readily than any other race. They are loyal, protective, and deeply committed to the coalition's principles. This sounds positive. It is positive. It is the only reason I am not currently afraid. Because if humans are as capable as I suspect, and if they were not kind, we would all be in serious danger. A species that can endure anything, that gets stronger from adversity, that treats our harshest tests as casual exercise. If that species were aggressive or conquest-oriented, he trailed off. But they are not, Zilf said quietly. No, but we need to know the truth. We need to know what humans can actually do, so we can work with them honestly rather than continuing to operate under dangerous misconceptions. Vex turned back to his console. The protocol will have fail-safes, medical interventions standing by, full monitoring. If she shows genuine distress, we stop immediately. Zilf's colors cycled through several shades before settling on resigned amber. I want it on record that I advised against this, noted and logged, and I will be in the medical bay, prepared to treat catastrophic injuries. Thank you, Doctor. After Zilf departed, Vess spoke quietly. Chief Evaluator, are you certain about this? No, Vex admitted, but we proceed anyway. He activated the communication system. Candidate Chen, thank you for your patience. We are initializing the final protocol now. This assessment will challenge you across multiple dimensions: physical, psychological, and cognitive. The system will adapt to your performance in real time. There is no failure condition. We simply want to observe your capabilities under progressively difficult circumstances. Do you understand? Got it, Sarah said cheerfully. Push myself and see what happens. Should I be worried about injury? Full medical support is available. However, please do not hesitate to stop if you feel you are in actual danger. This is an assessment, not a trial by ordeal. Sarah laughed. Don't worry. I'll speak up if anything feels genuinely dangerous. I'm good at knowing my limits. Vex glanced at Vess, who had made a strangled sound. Are you certain about that? He muttered, too quietly for the microphone to pick up. Initializing protocol Apex 7. Vex announced to the observation team. All stations, maximum monitoring. I want every data point recorded. The assessment chamber transformed. Walls reconfigured, equipment emerged from hidden panels, and the environmental controls activated with a low hum that vibrated. Through the station's superstructure, protocol, Apex 7 had been developed for testing synthetic soldiers and crystalline warriors, beings who could survive in hard vacuum, who could function in crushing pressure or searing heat, who could process information faster than organic neurons allowed. The protocol was divided into progressive phases, each building on the previous one, with the system designed to find the absolute limit of whatever was being tested. Phase 1 began. Environmental extremes. The temperature in the chamber dropped rapidly. -50 Celsius. -70. The atmospheric pressure shifted. Composition altered to make breathing actively difficult. Low oxygen, high carbon dioxide. Sarah inhaled sharply. Okay, now this is cold. She wrapped her arms around herself, started bouncing on her feet. Her breath came out in visible clouds. There, Vess said. Discomfort. Human response. But Sarah's biometrics told a different story. Yes, her body was responding to the cold peripheral vasoconstriction, increased metabolic rate, shivering thermogenesis. But these were automatic regulatory responses, not stress indicators. Her heart rate was elevated but steady. Her cortisol levels barely changed. -90 Celsius. The kind of cold that would kill most species within minutes. Sarah jogged in place, rubbed her arms vigorously. Definitely cold. This is like that time I got stuck on the mountain overnight. Good reminder to keep moving. She is comparing this to a personal anecdote, Vex said. Fascinated and horrified. She experienced near-lethal cold before and survived, so now she has a framework for it. This is not novel danger to her, just familiar discomfort. The temperature rose abruptly, 20 Celsius, 40, 70, 100. Sarah stopped shivering, stretched, started removing layers of clothing down to her base layer. Much better, though we're getting pretty warm now. 130 Celsius. 150. She should be cooking, Vess said frantically. Her tissues should be. She is sweating, Vex observed. Humans have the most efficient evaporative cooling system of any known organic species. We documented this, but we never considered what it actually meant in practical terms. She is keeping her core temperature stable through pure evaporation. 170 Celsius. Sarah's skin was flushed red, her hair plastered to her head with sweat. but she had found a vent in the ceiling and positioned herself under it, optimizing the airflow across her body. Getting pretty hot. How high are we going? She is problem-solving, Vex said. Not panicking, not shutting down. She is adapting her behavior to maximize her advantage. Phase 2 initiated automatically. Physical stress under environmental load. The chamber generated a gravitational field 1.5 times normal, then 2 times, then 3. Under 3 gravities, most organic beings could barely move. Breathing became labored. Blood pooled in extremities. Consciousness became difficult to maintain. Sarah dropped to her hands and knees, breathing hard. Finally, she looked genuinely strained. There it is, Vess said. Her limit. Then Sarah started doing push-ups. Under 3 times normal gravity. While the chamber remained at 140 Celsius, 57, she counted aloud. 58, 59. Why is she exercising? Vess's voice cracked. Because humans respond to adversity by pushing harder, Vex said, his own voice distant with something like awe. They do not retreat from challenge. They engage with it, test it, see what they are truly capable of. Sarah completed 100 push-ups, then sat back on her heels, chest heaving but grinning. Okay, that's a proper workout. Can we dial the gravity back a bit? I'd love to try some other exercises. Phase 3, cognitive stress. While maintaining elevated gravity and temperature, the chamber projected a complex 3-dimensional maze. Sarah had to navigate it using only a small handheld display, solving mathematical puzzles at each junction while her body struggled against physical limitations. Most species experienced severe cognitive degradation under combined physical and environmental stress. Higher reasoning shut down. Panic responses activated. Sarah approached the first puzzle, studied it while breathing hard, then solved it in 40 seconds. Oh, this is fun. Like those escape rooms, but with actual consequences. She proceeded through the maze with remarkable efficiency. Yes, she was slower than she would be under normal conditions. Yes, her movement was labored, but her problem-solving ability remained intact. Her strategic thinking actually seemed to improve, as though the physical challenge helped her focus, rather than distracted her. Humans evolved under constant threat, Vex said quietly. They developed the ability to think clearly while injured, exhausted, terrified. Their brains do not shut down under stress. They sharpen. Phase 4, psychological endurance. The maze vanished. The environmental controls normalized. Sarah stood in a comfortable, empty chamber. Okay, she said slowly. What's next? Nothing happened. That was the test. Isolation. Sensory deprivation. No stimulus. No feedback, no indication of time passing or when the test might end. For most species, this was the worst part of Protocol Apex 7. The uncertainty, the isolation, psychological stress with no physical outlet. Vex watched Sarah's biometrics carefully. This was where humans were supposed to break. The database insisted humans were social creatures who needed interaction, who struggled with isolation, who panicked when cut off from others. Sarah sat down cross-legged. She closed her eyes and began breathing in a slow, rhythmic pattern. She is meditating. Vex observed. Humans developed contemplative practices, Vex said. They voluntarily enter states of reduced stimulation for mental health benefits. We documented this as religious behavior and dismissed its significance. 20 minutes passed. 30. Sarah's heart rate had dropped to resting levels. Her brain wave patterns suggested she was in a deeply relaxed state. Chief Evaluator Vex said hesitantly, I believe she might be falling asleep. Of course she is, Vex said. And he could not help the mandible click that was the Quiloran equivalent of laughter. We put her through the most intense physical challenge she has experienced today, and now we are giving her quiet, comfortable space with nothing to do. To a human, that is nap time. At 45 minutes, Sarah opened her eyes, stretched, and looked around. Is the test still going? Because I could use a bathroom break at some point. No rush, though. Vex deactivated Protocol Apex 7. The chamber door opened. Sarah stood, stretched again, and walked out looking refreshed rather than traumatized. Medical teams swarmed her immediately. Dr. Zilf personally conducted scans, looking increasingly baffled as every reading came back showing a healthy human. In excellent condition, elevated core temperature, but returning to normal, Zilf reported. Minor dehydration, some muscle fatigue, no injuries, no psychological trauma indicators. She looked at Vex. She should be in critical condition. But I am fine, Sarah said, overhearing. That was intense. I haven't had a workout that good in years. Did I pass? Every being in the medical bay stared at her. You found it intense? Zilf asked carefully. Oh yeah, especially the gravity part. My legs are going to be sore tomorrow. Sarah grinned. But intense in a good way, you know? Really tested my limits. Thanks for pushing me. Vex approached slowly. Candidate Chen, I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. When you say we tested your limits, do you mean we found your limits? Or do you mean we challenged you appropriately? Sarah considered this. Well, I was definitely working hard. The gravity thing especially, I don't think I could have done much more than that. Maybe 15, 20% more if I really pushed. But yeah, I'd say you got me pretty close to my max performance. Why? 15 to 20% more, Vex repeated. He turned to Vess. She believes she was near her limit. She estimates she had maybe 20% more capacity remaining. Is that bad? Sarah asked, looking concerned. Should I have tried harder? I can go again if you need me to. Nitrogen monoxide. Multiple voices said simultaneously. Vex composed himself. No, Candidate Chen. Your performance was adequate. It was the greatest understatement of his career, and he watched Sarah's face brighten with relief. Oh good. I was worried I messed something up. So did I qualify for service? You did, Vex confirmed. In fact, we have a special assignment in mind for you over the next several hours. Vex convened emergency meetings with Coalition Command. He presented his data, his observations, his conclusions. The response was predictable. Disbelief, followed by alarm, followed by demands for more testing. We cannot make strategic decisions based on a single human. One commander argued, then test more humans, Vex replied. Test all of them. But I warn you, you will find the same pattern. Humans have been underperforming for 3 decades because they thought that was expected. They have been matching the pace of their colleagues rather than setting their own pace. What do you recommend? The military coordinator asked. Vex had spent considerable time formulating his answer. First, we completely revise human capability classifications. Category 5 is absurdly incorrect. Based on what I observed, humans should be classified as Category 9 at minimum, possibly 10. Several commanders made sounds of protest. Category 9 was reserved for the most capable warrior species. Category 10 was theoretical beings of such capability that they could face any challenge. Second, Vex continued, we create specialized units where humans can operate at their actual capacity without feeling they need to hold back. Mixed species teams where humans are explicitly told they are expected to exceed normal performance. Parameters, you want to create human dominant. Military units, another commander said slowly. I want to stop wasting human potential while simultaneously preventing humans from accidentally discovering how much they have been holding back. Because if 47,000 humans simultaneously realize they are significantly more capable than everyone around them, our entire military power structure changes overnight. The meeting continued for hours. But eventually Vex's recommendations were accepted. Humans would be re-evaluated, new protocols would be developed, and an experimental program would be created, one where exceptional humans like Sarah Chen could serve alongside species who could match their actual capabilities. Vex returned to find Sarah in the station's common area, talking animatedly with other candidates from various species about their assessment experiences. She laughed at someone's story about struggling with the heat chamber, completely unaware that she had redefined coalition understanding of human capability. Chief Evaluator, she called out, waving him over. I was just telling everyone about the final test. It was amazing. Have you ever tried it yourself? No, Vex admitted. I would die within the first phase. Sarah looked concerned. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm sure it's calibrated differently for different species. Yes, Vex said, which was true, but not in the way Sarah assumed. Well, it was great. Really great. When do I find out about my assignment? Soon, Vex promised. Very soon. After Sarah left, Vex approached him. Chief Evaluator, do you think she will ever understand what she really did today? Probably not, Vex said. And perhaps that is for the best. Humans perform best when they believe they are simply meeting expectations, not exceeding them. Their humility is genuine and should be preserved. But we know the truth now. Yes, Vex looked at the data files. On his tablet, hundreds of pages of analysis. That would reshape human coalition relations for generations. We know the truth, and now we must decide what to do with it. What will you do? Vex thought of Sarah Chen, jogging through -90-degree cold and comparing it to a camping story. He thought of her doing push-ups under 3 times gravity while maintaining cognitive function. He thought of her falling asleep during psychological stress testing. I will make sure humans are given assignments worthy of their capabilities, he said finally. And I will pray to the ancestral shells that they never discover how much we underestimated them, because if they ever stop being humble and start being confident, he trailed off, Chief Evaluator, then the galaxy should hope they remain as kind as they are capable, because there would be no stopping them. Ves's Carapace flickered through several colors before settling on uncertain blue. That is a frightening thought. Yes, Vex agreed, but also a hopeful one, because they are on our side. For now, he did not add, but he thought it. As he filed his reports and prepared to reshape humanity's role in galactic civilization, they are on our side for now, and we must make absolutely certain they always want to stay there.